Tonight, the Atlanta hip-hop world is reeling after shocking rumors surfaced about the untimely death of rising rapper T-Hood. Reports are swirling that this promising young artist who had been on the cusp of breaking big may have been caught in the middle of a family drama involving none other than love and hip-hop stars Kirk Frost and Rasheeda. Fans are shocked, social media is ablaze, and emotions are running high as whispers of betrayal, heated arguments, and a possible violent confrontation spread like wildfire. Sources close to the scene say tensions had been building behind the glitz and glamour, and what seemed like a normal night in Atlanta may have turned tragically deadly. Speculation is mounting about whether a private dispute spiraled out of control, and questions are being asked about loyalties, family ties, and how far conflicts can go when egos and emotions collide. Tonight, we break down every twist, every rumor, and every shocking claim circulating online, painting a picture of a story that has fans divided, the family under scrutiny, and the entire love and hip-hop community left stunned. What really happened? Who was involved? And how deep does this crisis run? Tonight, you're going to find out. The night had barely begun in Atlanta when whispers started circulating through the city streets, a mixture of disbelief and horror. T-Hood, the rising star who had been capturing hearts and attention with every track he released, was suddenly at the center of a storm that no one saw coming. Fans who had followed his journey from the very beginning were posting on social media, expressing shock and grief, many struggling to believe that someone so young and full of promise could be caught in such a tragic situation. According to sources close to the family, T-Hood had been dating the daughter of Kirk Frost and Rasheeda. And while the relationship had been relatively private, those who knew the couple claimed that tensions had been simmering beneath the surface for weeks. Rumors began to swirl about late-night arguments, heated text messages, and confrontations that were said to have escalated over minor misunderstandings, the kind of petty issues that could turn volatile when pride and emotions are involved. The streets were buzzing, and people could barely keep up with the flood of speculation that was emerging. Some claimed to have witnessed raised voices echoing from the Frost residence, neighbors saying they heard what sounded like doors slamming, and shouting that carried into the quiet Atlanta night. No one knew exactly what had sparked the confrontation, but everyone agreed that emotions had been running high. It's the kind of tension that feels dangerous before you even understand why. T-Hood himself had been gaining momentum over the past several months, performing at local venues, dropping freestyles that went viral on social media, and building a reputation as a young rapper who was both talented and ambitious. Friends described him as hardworking, loyal, and passionate about his craft, someone who believed in making a legacy rather than chasing quick fame. He had just completed an interview where he spoke about his dreams and his vision for the future. And in that interview, he seemed hopeful, energized. "I'm ready to take on bigger opportunities." Fans were excited, sharing clips of the interview, expressing pride in how far he had come and making plans to attend upcoming shows. Little did anyone know that just days later, he would become the focus of the kind of story that fans only hear about in tragic headlines. The excitement and energy that had surrounded his rise were now replaced with confusion, anger, and heartbreak as the news began to take shape. According to street reports, the night that would change everything began innocuously, with a small gathering at a local venue where T-Hood was performing. He was joined by friends and family, including his girlfriend, the daughter of Kirk and Rasheeda, who had been supportive of his music and often shared posts cheering him on. As the night went on, the mood reportedly shifted, with tension building. Behind closed doors, sources claimed that a private argument erupted between T-Hood and his girlfriend, fueled by jealousy, misunderstandings, and the pressure of being in the public eye. The discussion quickly drew in others, with family members allegedly entering the dispute in an attempt to mediate or protect their own. The details of the argument remain unconfirmed, but what is clear is that voices were raised, tempers flared, and what may have started as a simple disagreement began escalating into something more dangerous. Fans online debated endlessly about what could have caused such a shift, speculating about rumors of betrayal, accusations of dishonesty, and the complex dynamics of being involved with a high-profile family known for their own dramatic history. As the night progressed, reports suggest that the situation grew more intense, with the argument reportedly moving from verbal to physical. People close to the scene describe a chaotic environment, with objects being thrown, doors slamming, and neighbors becoming alarmed at the volume of the confrontation. Social media posts later emerged, some from users claiming to be nearby, hinting at the violent nature of the escalation without providing concrete details. Whispers began circulating that weapons had been involved, fueling panic among fans who feared for Tihu's safety. The tension was palpable, and for those watching from the outside, it was almost impossible to separate fact from rumor. Lines blurred between what really happened and what was being said online. And soon the narrative that Tihu had been caught in a family-related altercation began to dominate conversations. Meanwhile, reaction from the broader Atlanta hip-hop community was immediate. Fellow artists, promoters, and fans took to social media to express shock and concern. Some shared memories of working with Tihu, emphasizing his talent, dedication, and kindness. Others speculated about the role of Kirk and Rasheeda's family, questioning whether involvement of family members could have contributed to the escalation. Tensions ran high as friends and acquaintances tried to piece together the story, some offering insights that painted Tihu as a peacemaker, while others suggested that the pressures of dating into a high-profile family may have created additional stress that fueled the confrontation. The division among the community mirrored the division within the family itself, with some members rumored to be defending their own while others were said to be grappling with guilt. Anger and disbelief over what had occurred. Reports emerged that the police had been called to the scene late that night, responding to reports of a domestic disturbance that had reportedly turned violent. Officers found a chaotic environment with the aftermath of the confrontation evident throughout the residence. While official statements remained scarce, local outlets reported that Tihu had been injured during the altercation and medical personnel were called to provide immediate care. The family was described as visibly shaken, with emotions running high as they tried to process the events. Some neighbors claimed to have seen family members pacing, speaking loudly on phones, and exhibiting signs of extreme distress. The atmosphere in the area was tense, and the media quickly picked up on the story, amplifying rumors while highlighting the dramatic connections to well-known love and hip-hop stars in the days that followed. The story continued to develop, with conflicting accounts emerging about the specifics of the incident. Some sources claimed that Kirk and Rasheeda's daughter had been attempting to defend Tihu during the confrontation, while others suggested that family loyalties may have contributed to the intensity of the dispute. Interviews with friends and acquaintances revealed a mix of emotions, from sadness and grief to anger and confusion. Fans expressed their shock at the sudden. Throughout it all, the narrative continued to shift as new insiders came forward with their perspectives. Some painted Tihu as a rising star unfairly caught in a maelstrom of family drama. Others suggested that his involvement in a high-profile relationship added layers of complexity to the events. Emotions ran high across the board, with fans and onlookers debating motives, actions, and consequences. The story became a tangled web of rumors, alleged statements, and conflicting eyewitness accounts, leaving the public both fascinated and horrified. And as the sun rose over Atlanta, the city was left grappling with questions about loyalty, family, ambition, and the fragile nature of life when personal conflicts intersect with public attention. As the morning light broke over Atlanta, city was already buzzing with new rumors and updates. Fans of Tihu were glued to their phones, refreshing social media feeds for any sign of official statements. Yet all they found were conflicting reports and speculative posts. Some accounts claimed to have seen Kirk and Rasheeda arriving at the scene in shock, their expressions a mix of grief and disbelief. while others suggested that tempers flared even in those moments, showing the strain the family had been under for weeks. Insiders hinted that private conversations had grown heated, whispers of blame being thrown between family members, and emotions that had been simmering finally boiling over. The alleged involvement of Kirk and Rasheeda's son became the focal point of the discussion, with rumors claiming that he had intervened during the argument between T-Hood and his girlfriend. While nothing was confirmed, fans debated endlessly over what could have happened, imagining scenarios where a simple disagreement had spiraled tragically out of control. The tension between loyalty to family and love for T-Hood seemed impossible to reconcile, and the community watched in awe and horror as the drama unfolded like a reality TV episode come to life. According to some reports circulating online, altercation began in the late hours of the evening, shortly after T-Hood had returned from a rehearsal with a local producer. Sources claimed that he had been discussing his upcoming projects with his girlfriend, but the conversation reportedly turned tense when old grievances surfaced. Neighbors later told online forums that shouting had been heard echoing through the streets, and the intensity of the voices suggested that this was not a casual disagreement. Phrases like "you don't understand" and "you can't tell me what to do" were rumored to have been exchanged, though it was unclear who said what. Some insiders suggested that the daughter may have been defending T-Hood against accusations or criticisms from family members, which only added fuel to the fire. The involvement of multiple parties in a small confined space reportedly created a pressure cooker environment, where tempers flared, voices rose, and the situation escalated in ways that no one could have predicted. Friends of T-Hood shared stories of his dedication and humility, painting a picture of a young man who was always respectful, grounded, and determined to make a mark in the music industry. They described how he had been careful to avoid unnecessary conflicts, yet somehow found himself entangled in a family dispute that many said was out of his control. Some claimed that he had tried to mediate, to calm tensions and avoid confrontation, yet the intensity of the argument reportedly made it impossible to resolve peacefully. The contrast between his ambitions and the chaos surrounding him became a central point of discussion among fans, who expressed disbelief that someone so focused and determined could be swept up in such dramatic events. Meanwhile, the alleged shooter, rumored to be Kirk and Rasheeda's son, became the subject of speculation and online scrutiny. Social media exploded with posts analyzing previous interviews, public appearances, and even snippets from reality TV episodes to piece together a profile that might explain his actions. Some claimed that family dynamics had always been intense, that arguments over loyalty and respect had been a recurring theme, and that the pressures of growing up in the public eye might have contributed to the volatility of the situation. Others suggested that the presence of T-Hood, as a young man gaining influence and recognition, may have triggered feelings of jealousy, insecurity, or a need to assert dominance. Fans debated the psychology of the conflict endlessly, with some defending the son's intentions as protective and others condemning the alleged use of violence as unnecessary and tragic. The aftermath of the confrontation reportedly left the Frost family divided. Insiders suggested that Kirk and Rasheeda were caught between supporting their children and dealing with the harsh reality of what had occurred. Tension reportedly ran through the house, with whispered accusations, heated discussions, and moments of visible grief as family members tried to reconcile their emotions. Friends close to the family described an environment filled with sorrow and frustration, with some suggesting that the family had begun to fracture under the pressure of public scrutiny. The notion that a dispute within the household could lead to such a devastating outcome sparked conversations about accountability, loyalty, and the difficulties of managing personal relationships in a high-profile setting. Additionally, rumors began spreading that the argument was not merely about personal grievances, but may have involved misunderstandings tied to T-Hood's career. Some suggested that conflicts over business decisions, financial investments, or even creative directions may have contributed to the tension. Creating a web of competing priorities and heightened emotions, and speculated that Tihood's rising success might have been intimidating to certain family members, and that perceived slights or miscommunications could have snowballed into the confrontation that evening. Social media became a battleground for opinion, with users dissecting every piece of information available, analyzing videos, posts, and comments for hidden clues about what had triggered the altercation. The narrative grew increasingly complex, blurring the line between reality and speculation. Yet the intrigue only heightened public interest, while official statements remained minimal. Eyewitness accounts and street reports painted a picture of chaos. Some claimed to have seen emergency responders rushing to the scene. Others suggested that family members were in shock and unable to provide clear details. The uncertainty surrounding the event fueled the fire, with fans and onlookers sharing their theories, some sympathetic to Tihood, others critical of the alleged shooter, and still others questioning the broader dynamics within the Frost household. The intensity of the story, amplified by social media, reality TV connections, and Tihood's rising fame, made it one of the most talked about incidents in Atlanta's hip-hop community in recent memory. Tensions reportedly continued to simmer. In the days following the altercation, sources claimed that conversations within the family were tense, with private meetings taking place behind closed doors and emotions running high as members attempted to process what had happened. Some alleged that the daughter felt torn between loyalty to her boyfriend and her family, creating internal conflict and deep emotional turmoil. Friends described her as withdrawn and anxious, struggling to navigate the fallout of a night that had spiraled out of control. Social media posts reflected her struggle with cryptic captions and fleeting comments hinting at her inner turmoil. Fans speculated endlessly, attempting to piece together her side of the story. And the narrative surrounding the Frost family grew increasingly complicated and layered with emotion. Meanwhile, Tihood's circle of friends and collaborators expressed grief and disbelief. Posts online described him as kind, ambitious, and full of potential, someone who had worked tirelessly to make a name for himself. Tributes poured in, with fans sharing memories, music, and personal stories of encounters with Tihood. Many expressed frustration and sadness, questioning how a young man with so much promise could find himself in the midst of a family dispute that allegedly escalated to violence. The discussion extended beyond Atlanta, with social media users across the country. As the media frenzy surrounding Tihood's death intensified, new voices began weighing in, adding fuel to the fire. Bloggers, podcasters, and social media personalities dissected every detail, theorizing about what might have occurred inside the Frost household that night. Some suggested that Tihood's growing influence in Atlanta's underground scene had unintentionally created tension with Kirk and Rasheeda's son, who may have felt overshadowed or threatened. Others argued that the daughter's involvement, whether intentional or accidental, had escalated the conflict, creating a scenario where emotions were impossible to control. Speculation ran rampant, with theories ranging from misunderstandings over family loyalty to jealousies over attention and recognition. The combination of fame, ambition, and familial bonds was being portrayed as a volatile mix, a perfect storm that had tragically claimed Tihood's life. Friends and collaborators of Tihood continued to share stories, each account adding depth and heartbreak to the narrative. One associate recalled a late-night studio session where Tihood had been excitedly talking about his next release, full of hope and ambition. "He was so focused, man," the friend said in a whispered clip shared online. "Always thinking about how to get better, how to take the next step. It's crazy to think all that energy, all that talent got interrupted like this." Another acquaintance mentioned that Tihood had recently been connecting with influential figures in Atlanta, opportunities that could have changed his trajectory. Fans and followers lamented the irony, mourning the loss of a young life on the rise while watching the alleged family drama unfold in real time across multiple platforms. Rumors suggested that in the hours following the incident, Kirk and Rasheeda were in a state of shock, navigating a wave of emotions while simultaneously facing public scrutiny. Insiders claimed that private conversations between the couple were tense, with emotions running high as they tried to reconcile the tragedy with their roles as parents and public figures. Whispers online hinted at arguments between the couple about how to handle media inquiries and social media posts, adding yet another layer of drama. The family was reportedly struggling to balance grief with responsibility, caught between mourning the loss of Tehood and managing the fallout of allegations involving their son. Meanwhile, Atlanta's hip-hop community was polarized. Some expressed outrage over the alleged involvement of Kirk and Rasheeda's son, while others emphasized that family conflicts, especially in high-pressure environments, could escalate unpredictably. Debates raged about whether the situation could have been prevented, with some fans criticizing the public attention and scrutiny placed on young artists and their personal lives. Others sympathized with the son, arguing that the emotional stakes were high and that a combination of miscommunication and frustration might have led to the fatal confrontation. Every new post, tweet, or story shared online sparked further discussion, keeping the narrative alive and constantly evolving as the days passed. Additional rumors surfaced, suggesting that the daughter had played a more complex role than initially assumed. Some claim that she may have tried to mediate between Tehood and her brother, attempting to calm the situation, yet her presence inadvertently intensified emotions. Online posts debated whether her intentions were pure or if her actions, however accidental, contributed to the tragic outcome. Social media users dissected her past interactions with both Tehood and her family, analyzing comments, pictures, and videos for hidden hints, adding speculation about motives, loyalty, and internal conflict. The narrative became a tangled web, a mix of grief, anger, and conjecture, capturing the attention of fans far beyond Atlanta. Eyewitness accounts continued to emerge, each providing varying perspectives on the events leading to the shooting. Some neighbors described hearing raised voices, footsteps pacing hurriedly, and the sound of doors slamming, all contributing to a sense of chaos. Others suggested that attempts at mediation had failed, that Tehood's attempts to de-escalate were met with resistance, and that emotions had been impossible to contain. These accounts, often shared through social media and local news outlets, painted a vivid picture of the tension, fear, and confusion of that night. The alleged involvement of Kirk and Rasheeda's son remains central to the story, though details were scarce and conflicting. Friends of the Frost family spoke to reporters under the condition of anonymity, claiming that internal conflicts had been brewing for weeks. They described moments of tension during family gatherings, disagreements over relationships, and clashes over personal boundaries. These small disputes, insiders suggested, may have set the stage for the explosive confrontation with Tehood. Fans debated endlessly, some blaming the son, others emphasizing the unpredictable nature of familial disputes, and many highlighting the pressures of growing up in a high-profile family constantly in the public eye. The combination of fame, expectation, and personal ambition was being framed as a key factor in the tragedy, adding layers of complexity to the already sensational story. Tehood's legacy, although cut short, became a central theme in the discussions online. Collaborators and fans praised his work ethic, creativity, and dedication to music, sharing clips, lyrics, and performances in tribute. Some noted that he had been a rising star, poised to make significant waves in the Atlanta scene, and expressed frustration at the thought that a family dispute had derailed his trajectory. Online forums were flooded with tributes, personal anecdotes, and reflections on the dangers of conflicts spilling over into violence. The narrative surrounding Tehood became both a cautionary tale and a rallying point for conversations about accountability, family, and the pressures of life in the spotlight. Meanwhile, tension reportedly continued within the Frost household. Sources hinted at late-night discussions, private meetings, and moments of visible emotion. As Kirk and Rasheeda tried to navigate the fallout, the daughter, caught in the middle of the speculation and her own grief, was rumored to have been conflicted, struggling to understand her role and reconcile her feelings for Tihood with her loyalty to her family. Online commentators debated whether her attempts to mediate had been genuine, naive, or somehow contributed to the escalation. The complexity of her position added yet another layer to the ongoing drama, keeping fans engaged and invested in every new development. As the public conversation grew, so did rumors of further complications. Some online voices suggested that other family members or associates may have been involved in attempts to mediate, while others speculated that tensions had been simmering unnoticed for months. The alleged presence of influential figures from Tihood's circle added pressure, creating a situation where emotions, expectations, and loyalties collided. Fans discussed potential motives, emotional triggers, and the broader implications for Atlanta's hip-hop community, turning the story into a multifaceted drama that extended far beyond the immediate tragedy. The story also prompted discussions about responsibility and accountability. Commentators weighed in on the role of family dynamics, public scrutiny, and individual choices in shaping the events that night. Some emphasized the importance of communication and conflict resolution, while others highlighted the risks inherent in mixing personal disputes with high-pressure careers and public attention. The narrative continued to unfold, with social media users analyzing every new report, rumor, and interview for clues about what truly transpired. Throughout this period, the Frost family remained under intense public scrutiny. Kirk and Rasheeda, known for their reality TV presence, were suddenly at the center of a story that combined personal tragedy with public fascination. Rumors about their son's involvement, the daughter's actions, and the overall family dynamics kept fans speculating, while Tihood's legacy and untimely death became a rallying point for conversations about ambition, loyalty, and the unpredictability of life in the spotlight. The mixture of grief, speculation, and public attention created a situation that felt like a live reality show, unfolding in real time and captivating audiences far beyond Atlanta. The tension surrounding Tihood's death reached new heights as more whispers and allegations surfaced online. Fans dissected every social media post, interview, an old clip from Kirk and Rasheeda's reality TV appearances, trying to piece together a narrative that might explain the tragedy. Some suggested that years of underlying family conflicts had culminated in that fatal night, while others focused on Tihood's rising influence and the perceived threat it may have posed to the family dynamic. The intersection of ambition, loyalty, and teenage recklessness painted a picture of a situation that spiraled out of control faster than anyone could intervene. Friends close to Tihood continued to speak out, their voices filled with grief and disbelief. One collaborator recalled a conversation where Tihood had expressed excitement about upcoming projects and a desire to make his mark on the Atlanta music scene. He was talking about his dreams like nothing could stop him, the friend said. Voice-breaking, and now all that potential, all that drive, it's gone. It's just devastating. These testimonies amplified the sense of loss, painting Tihood as a young artist whose life was abruptly interrupted by a combination of personal entanglements and familial tensions. Inside the Frost household, sources described an environment thick with regret and confusion. Kirk and Rasheeda were reportedly struggling to process the allegations surrounding their son, while also mourning the loss of a young man who had been involved with their daughter. Whispers of heated late-night discussions, family interventions, and tense confrontations circulated online, suggesting that the emotional stakes were unbearably high. The daughter, caught in the middle, was said to be grappling with feelings of guilt, fear, and heartbreak, leaving fans to speculate on her role and emotional state in the aftermath of the incident. Rumors about the son's actions continued to dominate conversations across social media. Some suggested that his involvement was accidental, the result of a moment of emotional impulsiveness, while others insisted that jealousy or frustration played a key role. Debates raged over whether the tragedy could have been prevented, and if so, how the family might have acted differently to avoid it. The conflicting narratives created an ongoing discussion that kept audiences engaged and invested, each new rumor adding layers of drama to an already sensational story. Fans of both T. Hood and the Frost family expressed a range of emotions, from outrage to sympathy. Social media became a battlefield of opinions, with some defending the son and others condemning the alleged actions. Hashtags calling for justice, understanding, and remembrance of T. Hood's talent trended across platforms, highlighting the deep emotional resonance of the story. As posts went viral, they sparked debates about responsibility, family loyalty, and the pressures of life in the public eye, further amplifying the narrative and keeping it in the spotlight. Meanwhile, local news outlets reported cautiously, providing updates while acknowledging that many of the circulating claims were unverified. Interviews with neighbors, acquaintances, and insiders painted a complex portrait of the family, the young rapper, and the circumstances surrounding the shooting. Snippets of conversations, anonymous tips, and social media chatter were analyzed, frame by frame, each interpretation fueling speculation and adding to the collective understanding or misunderstanding of what had transpired. The sense of uncertainty and tension only heightened the public's fascination with the story as days turned into weeks. The emotional impact of T. Hood's death continued to ripple through Atlanta's music scene. Tributes poured in from artists, fans, and local figures who had admired his talent and ambition. Concerts were dedicated to his memory. Social media posts celebrated his work, and online discussions debated the broader implications of family conflicts intersecting with the pressures of rising fame. The tragedy became a catalyst for larger conversations about the volatility of relationships, generational tensions, and the unpredictable consequences of personal choices in high-profile environments. The Frost family reportedly faced ongoing challenges in navigating both grief and public perception. Sources indicated that Kirk and Rasheeda were committed to protecting their children, while also managing the intense scrutiny from fans and media alike. Private conversations, counseling sessions, and family interventions were said to be part of their attempt to regain stability amidst chaos. The daughter, central to the rumors and allegations, was depicted as emotionally torn, her attempts at reconciliation complicated by the weight of public attention and personal loss. Every decision, every post, every statement seemed to be analyzed under a magnifying glass, magnifying the drama for viewers and followers alike. Within this climate of heightened emotions, online personalities and commentators continued to dissect every available detail. Debates about motive, intent, and consequence persisted, often veering into heated arguments themselves. The narrative of T. Hood's death intertwined with the Frost family's story. It became a case study in modern social media sensationalism, demonstrating how tragedy, rumor, and fame can collide to create a storyline that captivates audiences far beyond its original context. Fans were drawn into every twist upon twist, each new revelation or rumor provoking emotional responses ranging from shock to sympathy. As the story unfolded, it became evident that the consequences of T. Hood's death would be long, both for those directly involved and for the broader Atlanta hip-hop community. The intersection of personal conflict, family loyalty, and the pressures of public life had culminated in a situation that left fans, friends, and insiders grappling with grief, confusion, and the desire for answers. Speculation about what truly happened, who was responsible, and how the family would move forward kept the story alive, ensuring that it remained a topic of conversation across platforms, from social media to news outlets and discussion forums. The emotional weight of the tragedy was compounded by the continuous scrutiny of the Frost family, Kirk and Rasheeda, despite their experience in reality TV, faced a unique challenge, navigating their roles as grieving parents while under the public microscope. The daughter's position added further complexity, caught between loyalty to her family and the memory of a young man she had once cared for deeply. The alleged involvement of the son remained a contentious topic, fueling speculation and debate, and the family's efforts to maintain unity in the face of public judgment became a central aspect of the ongoing narrative throughout all this. T-Hood's impact on Atlanta's music scene was celebrated, reminding audiences of the talent and promise that was lost. Collaborators and fans alike shared stories of his work ethic, creativity, and dedication, honoring his contributions while acknowledging the tragedy that cut his life short. The narrative of ambition, conflict, and loss created a compelling, multi-layered drama, blending elements of reality TV-style tension with the real-world consequences of interpersonal and familial disputes. As the weeks progressed, attention began to shift toward potential resolutions and future outcomes. Questions lingered about accountability, reconciliation, and the long-term effects on the Frost family, their relationships, and their public image. Fans debated the implications for all involved, imagining scenarios in which healing could occur, or tensions might escalate further. The story became both a cautionary tale and a subject of endless speculation, capturing the public imagination and ensuring that the drama surrounding T-Hood's death and the Frost family would remain relevant for months to come. So, what do you think about this shocking turn of events surrounding T-Hood and the Frost family? Are Kirk and Rasheeda's children truly responsible for the tragedy? Or is this a heartbreaking accident fueled by emotions and misunderstandings? Fans across Atlanta and beyond are divided, and emotions are running high as everyone tries to make sense of the chaos. You've seen the rumors, the allegations, and the emotional fallout, but the truth remains unclear. Every perspective, every account adds another layer to this intense drama, leaving fans questioning loyalty, family dynamics, and the unpredictable consequences of heated conflicts. We want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe the daughter had a role in escalating the situation, or was she simply caught in the middle of circumstances beyond her control? How should the Frost family handle this public scrutiny while grieving? Share your opinions in the comments below and let us know how you would react if you were in their shoes. Your voice matters, and the community is eager to engage in this conversation about loss, responsibility, and the pressures of life in the spotlight. Don, single quotes to forget to like this video if you found the story compelling. And subscribe to the channel, so you never miss the latest updates on love and hip-hop stars and the drama surrounding them. Hit the notification bell to stay informed as more rumors and insider details continue to emerge. And join the discussion with fellow fans as we unravel the twists and turns of this shocking story. Remember, every like, comment, and share helps keep the conversation alive. And your engagement fuels our coverage of the hottest stories in reality TV and music drama. We'll continue to bring you updates, reactions, and exclusive commentary. So stay tuned and be part of this journey into the drama surrounding T-Hood and the Frost family.